First of all, I'd like to say that I think it's really funny that I've heard several comments about how hot it is today because I'm from Austin and I guess you know what you know. And this feels very refreshing to me to get out of the Texas heat. Um, at Zpryme, our mission is to challenge the status quo in energy through diverse perspectives and dialogues. And I'm thrilled about this panel because it exemplifies our mission. We are all here to talk about how to find solutions to complex problems. And this requires multifaceted perspectives. So please welcome our speakers. You guys can come on up. Thank you so much. They didn't know that was going to happen, but they are on fire. And let's do this. Let's go just down the row with introductions, please. And we'll start with you, Sherina.
It's a pleasure. Meena. It's like the mute and unmute button on the Zoom. Okay, good to see everyone. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm super excited to, for those of you that don't live here, welcome to the City of Wind, although it is the City of Sun today, which is great. We who live here year round only live here for the 100 days of summer. So we soak it all up and it makes up for the treacherous winters that we have here. But I am Sherina May Edwards. I am was in the utility and energy space. I started as a commissioner at the Illinois Commerce Commission, and that was how I got into energy. I'm an attorney by training. I led a utility infrastructure company, as you heard on the previous panel, called Intren for a couple of years, led through an exit and oversaw the integration when we were acquired by Mostech, which is a publicly traded utility infrastructure company. Then I simultaneously joined the Northwestern Energy Board of Directors, which is it's a publicly traded utility based out of Montana. So as it sounds, serves the northwestern part of the country in 7 states. And additionally, I'm on a bank board, Midland States Bank, which is based in Effingham, Illinois. And currently, I am advising private equity companies on their utility infrastructure portfolios, which has been super exciting. So, serving as an operating partner to multiple portfolio companies. So, I'm super excited to not just be here with all of you, but to get to do it with people, women that I call really good friends. And as you'll hear probably throughout the panel, there's a lot of strings that tie us all together. So I'm super excited to be here and honored to be here with all of you.
And Sherina, Apple or Android?
Apple.
Okay.
I'm like, what's an Android?
Great. Good morning. It's still morning. I'm Meena Beyers. I'm Vice President of Business and Community Development with Nicor Gas. Nicor Gas serves 2.3 million customers across northern Illinois. We own and operate 34,000 miles of pipe that delivers the critical energy to the region, as well as 8 storage facilities that build our ability to meet those treacherous winter storms. In my role, I lead customer solutions, economic development, as well as our community engagement in the 650 communities that we serve. I also have the privilege of leading a lot of our innovation work in fuels of the future, as well as energy efficiency and emerging technologies. So I do want to give a shout out to our hosts, Burns and McDonald. They are an amazing partner to Nicor Gas as well. And in fact, tomorrow we'll be together celebrating the opening of our new transmission training center, which they were a partner on. So thanks. It's great to be here.
Just one second. Apple or Android for you?
Oh, Apple, me too.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sadzi Oliva. I am Senior Vice President of Government Relations and Community for United Scrap Metal. Before this role, I was also a commissioner on the Illinois Commerce Commission with Sherina and made incredible friendships and learned so much in a very short amount of time. But it was the most incredible experience and it opened up my world to all of the endless possibilities in the energy sector and seeing transformation just daily and learning about it and having to keep up. So, thank you for having me here. Energy Thought Summit. Jason, thank you for inviting me. Burns McDonald for hosting, and it's always great to work with HG. Thank you.
Sadzi, I'm going to ask you a different question. Tesla or Rivian?
Ooh. So one of my hobbies is going to estate sales and buying cute vintage furniture. So I would need a Rivian. I need a big car for that.
So, my name is Hillary Scott-Ogunride. I am Deputy Director for the Office of Energy and Business Utility for the Illinois Department of Commerce. So, I actually feel really privileged to sit amongst these women. If you've read their bios or remotely heard them say a few words, you know that they are really dynamic individuals. So, looking forward to learning from them today and sharing what I have experienced. And so prior to joining the state, I had an energy design build firm and was really active in the advocacy and development of the Climate Equitable Jobs Act. So did a lot of sharing of what I think real world experience would need in an effort to really live out the title of the legislation. Um, Equitable and job creation. And so currently, as deputy, I run and administer the economic development programs legislated by CEJA.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to be kind of in the sidelines, and I'll just give you a brief outline of what we're hoping to cover. It's ambitious because we don't have a whole lot of time, but basically, we're going to touch on what does an inclusive economy look like. We're also going to go into what does powering inclusive energy access mean for workforce development? What role do partnerships play in powering an inclusive economy? And then also essentially who are the players? What are the variables that need to be balanced? So I'll go ahead and hand it off to you guys to start us off with just level setting. What is a powering an inclusive economy?
I can start, sure. Um, okay, sorry. So for me, an inclusive economy, and particularly one that's in this space, looks like one that allows all people, all that is essentially right reflective of the demographics that are served by the space. So when you think about utilities and you think about the requirement to offer, least cost, clean, safe utilities, it is all of those people who receive that, and anybody who is a recipient of that should be reflected in the people who are doing the work, I believe, as well, right? And so when we think about inclusive, I think it's, and some people are still unsure about the difference between diversity and inclusion. And so I always say diversity is being right asked to the party, but inclusion is being asked to dance at the party. And so when you think about that, right, it's not just being given the opportunity to say, "Hey, like, come talk to us." It's you actually have the possibility to come in, to bid on the work, to do the work, for us to support you as you learn. We're kind of helping you figure out how to navigate getting in the store and helping, to provide opportunities for everyone. So I think an inclusive environment truly is one. I think the best way that I can sum it up is to say one that allows everyone to participate and that is reflective of the demographics of the people that are served. And I'll hand it over to my sisters. I do have a quick question. Is anyone here today from the ICC? Okay, good. Okay, go ahead.
Um, yeah, I completely echo all of your comments there. And I think when I sitting in the seat that I'm in and the role that I'm in, when I think about, inclusive clean energy economy, I really think about the role that each of us play in the different positions that we have in that transition. Where we're sitting today, 70% of households in the state use natural gas for heat. We're in a state where that source of energy is half the cost of electricity. We are also in a state where there's continued demand and growth on all of the systems in the state. And so, with all of that in mind, when I think about an inclusive energy economy, I'm not just thinking about enabling access and opportunity for people to be able to enjoy new technologies and the benefits of cleaner energy, but it's also how are we collectively working together to power the economy as a whole? Are we working together and integrating systems so that we can continue to attract new businesses to the state? Earlier today, we talked about how there is a manufacturing boom in the state. Are we enabling the energy that it takes to attract that to the state? Because creating jobs across all sectors enables a more inclusive economy, right? And provides jobs not just in the energy sector, but it's what the energy sector builds as a foundation for the rest of the economy. So I really like to think holistically about, how we're empowering overall livelihood for the customers that we serve.
And since I have the microphone, I'll let you close it out. So if you were to visualize, well, how about we do this? Can you come here? Can you come here? And you. So if grab here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, my coordinator, you want to do something. You
Yep.
need 4 of us. Yeah.
Actually, yeah,
Not exactly.
actually 3. So you can have a seat. So if we were to each, so you see how we each are connected. You can grab mine. And if I say turn clockwise, which direction would you go? Okay, great, thank you. So we were all connected, and then I had to give an instruction, and we all had to understand which direction clockwise was. Inclusivity visually is that we are all connected and communicating in a way that we all understand. And oftentimes, what happens is we're maybe in the same room, but we're not connected, knowing that Hillary does X well, Meena does Y really well, Sherina does A through Z really well, right? And so, because of that, we oftentimes don't reach the goal. And so, inclusivity, if you are in your organization, that is something you tend to do. You want to hire people who do something perhaps that you don't do well because they have an added proposition to the overall organization. But likewise, we have to apply that in the systematic things we want to change. Make sure you have people at the table who do a specific thing well, who understand a specific thing well, and you have them there with intention that you're going to move in step together. And once we do that across the local government, state government, private sector, public sector, that's when we'll really see the level of change and shift that we need to see in the time frame in which we need to do it. Bronzeville is a really good example of that. The community reached out to putting people to the table to connect and move in the same step at the same time, bring the resources strategically. And so next time, perhaps private sector will do that. And so inclusivity and visual, that's what I think that means.
So I think the word that comes to mind for me is opportunity. It's giving everyone the opportunity and then making sure that they have everything possible to succeed. An opportunity goes nowhere if you don't facilitate the success. So I think about my own career. I've been a lawyer for, I don't even want to say how long, 25 years. And I never thought I would end up in this incredible position, in this incredible industry, but I was given an opportunity, but it didn't end there. Thankfully, I had people surrounding me that helped me succeed in my career. Sherina was a commissioner when I first started, and I was completely lost. I would never have made it without her and people like her. And then not stopping with my own opportunity, but giving other people the opportunity. In the audience is Gerardo Delgado. He was part of my team. He was a legal and policy advisor, and look at him now. He's still in this industry, succeeding and reaching for the stars. So to me,
But he went from you to me, then now with
right.
her. Like,
Yes.
is that not crazy?
Exactly. So, yes. So that's what it means to me. Opportunity, not ending there, but creating the space for success.
That's actually a really great segue to talking about the role that partnerships play in powering an inclusive energy economy and energy access. Um, so let's talk more about partnerships. And I think someone mentioned earlier, let's think of it more of relationships.
Yeah, I'd love to start there because I think it's a really exciting time in the industry and in our region where it seems like organizations and people are not as focused on the silos that they've lived in for so long. And it is all about partnerships and relationships. So, when we look at community engagement, we kind of go out and say, okay, there's almost nothing that we do alone. Right. We're always bringing up who else can we bring to the table. We're doing an exciting partnership right now, um, developing affordable housing and trying to get housing from energy efficient to net zero, getting it to the next level. So we're really excited to be partnered with Habitat for Humanity, building the nation's first net zero affordable housing community in Aurora, right here in this region. So that's pretty exciting. Dwayne mentioned this morning the hydrogen hub. We are a partner in the Midwest Alliance for Clean Hydrogen, and we are so excited for the community benefits planning and the community engagement, the job creation that's going to take place with that. So a lot of great community partners at the table for that. We also recently partnered with World Business Chicago. For those of you that are familiar with World Business Chicago, they're the regional economic development arm for not just the city of Chicago, but really they do a lot in the state as well, on founding the Chicagoland Climate Investment Alliance, where we're looking for new partnerships among corporate entities, like really looking to your point, businesses stepping up and being a part of, leading that change and investing in big ways in the community. So I feel pretty excited to be facilitating and a part of a lot of these partnerships because it does feel like egos have been put aside, at least for the time being. So we're striking while we can.
I can add partnerships are so important. Um, and I think the partnership between the private sector and government and community organizations, that's the magic uh, sauce. So I'm at United Scrap Metal. We're a woman-owned company. We supply metal recycling services to manufacturing, to the power sector, construction, demolition. So when I was listening to everybody speak this morning, and every time I attend different energy conferences, we always talk about the future. What's the future going to look like? How's it going to be built? How are we going to get there? Well, the company that I work at is a big part of that because we make sure that that future doesn't include everything that's being built out ending up in a landfill. So that's our role. Think about it. If you want to build a new grid, modernized transmission, where's that all going to go when you have the new infrastructure in? So industries like ours would not be successful without partnerships, especially diverse businesses. So this company would never have grown from $200 and a rental truck, the wrong kind of rental truck 45 years ago, um, to what it is today, which is 9 different states, 600 plus team members, and growing year after year because of the partnerships with sectors like energy and manufacturing that knew the importance of hiring diverse businesses. Also, that requires government programs that also incentivize working with minority businesses and women owned businesses. So I think that's the secret sauce: government, community organization, community engagement, and the private sector.
I was going to add in a little bit, kind of with what Meena said about the essentially stakeholder relationships and how that is key. And I think that one of the things that I really stressed when I was at the commission was that we break down the silos. That the only way for this all to work is if we are all, in communication and in collaboration. And ultimately, everybody wanted the same thing, right? You had the regulators, you had the utilities, you had the consumer advocates, and of course, you had the consumers. And we were all working to try to benefit the consumer at the end of the day. So we all needed to be able to communicate to do that. And with the silos, I mean, it just made it so much more difficult. But once we actually interacted and we had workshops together and we heard from them and we, presented questions for them to answer, it really allowed us to see, okay, look, we all do want the same thing, but let's just now figure out how to get there. And I think that kind of goes insane, like with this recent wave of rate cases and things that occurred. I think we're back to having silos again, and I think a key critical component is understanding, okay, what is it that each piece does? And again, what is the end goal? Again, the end goal is to benefit the consumer. So when you are doing something as a regulator, when you're making a decision in a siloed tunnel, and you are doing something that you want to kind of, for example, if you're a regulator, this is all hypothetical. If you're a regulator and you really are like, I want to show the utilities, we're going to show them, and we're going to screw all the utilities over and with every rate case, who is that actually hurting? It's not just hurting the consumers, ultimately, yes, but you have literally just undone every supplier diversity initiative and step that we have taken over the last decade, because guess who got hit? It was the suppliers, right? Because what did the utilities then have to do? Their capital spend is like now halted, right? They're like, okay, you know what, we were going to do this, but we can't do that right now. So sorry, we can't use you. We can't use you. Sorry, try us again in 2027. Every single supplier that I've communicated with over the last 12 months has made drastic cuts, are literally treading water. Maybe they won't be there in 2027 when there's another opportunity. And so again, that is that siloed work, that's that siloed tunnel vision perspective, that you're thinking, okay, I'm the regulator and I'm transactionally trying to work with the utility. This is what I'm doing, but you're not thinking about what is in the other boxes and what the ultimate impact is. Because that's at the end of the day, the utilities are an IOU. They're going to be okay. But these suppliers, they might not be there to survive this. And that is what was not outside of the tunnel vision.
And I just want to comment on, you talked about the work that's been done for a decade. And I just have to give a great example from both when Sherina and Sadzi, you were on the commission. You helped stand up the Illinois Utilities Business Diversity Council. And that was a great example of sort of shared vision. The utilities were already doing, their own efforts around supplier diversity and trying to increase business diversity in the state. The commission was unified around that and working together. We all came together, and really that's been a legacy of that commission, because we continue to partner in big ways through the IUBDC today, and support diverse businesses, to your point. So we know it can be done.
So we actually already touched on one of the questions, which was, what role does powering an inclusive energy access play when it comes to workforce development, supply chain diversity? This is something that y'all all touched on. And unless someone wants to say something more about that, I'm going to open up questions for the audience. Yes? Okay, so if anybody in our audience has a question.
All right, circling around. While I look for someone, I'm real interested in what you found to be any successful performance metrics related to these issues of equity and community building and workforce development. If any come to mind that you see really work.
Yeah, Nicor Gas is a part of the Southern Company family of companies, and we actually issued starting 2 years ago, our Moving to Equity annual report. So this includes all of our stats around the diversity of our workforce, efforts and initiatives around diverse hiring for our workforce, our employee resource groups and the level of engagement with those, diverse suppliers, the different ways that we're engaging in under-resourced communities to build a pipeline of talent. And we thought I'm really proud to be a part of a company that actually has the vulnerability to document that and put it out to the world, and then hold themselves accountable every year for how we do it. And it also helps build internal culture. So I think, with all of those metrics, but being able to publish them and share them and hold yourselves accountable to them, I think makes a big difference.
It's inspiring. Please let me come to you, Aaron.
Thanks, Ichi. Hillary, I really liked what you said about the importance of knowing who's in the room and who's good at what and using people to their best advantage, for the betterment of the group. Are there practices that you are seeing or utilizing or just experiences that are helping in the workplace with getting that accomplished? Tools, anything that helps people better identify the talent?
I would take as a success point, the seizure legislation. You're talking over 4 years of grassroots community organizing throughout the entire state, where you brought to the table faith-based organizations. You brought young people from high schools and middle schools advocating for the things that impact their water, that impact their air. You brought to the table policy advisors and consultants from across the country who understood environmental and economic injustice. Then you ended up bringing labor to the table. And by the time, legislation was somewhat drafted, there were days and hours, weeks and months of negotiation of different people being at the table with different perspectives and values. And as a result, yes, we got a 900-page legislation with the desire for it to be implemented. We got a submarine with the desire for it to be implemented next Tuesday. And so it's taken some time, but because so many viewpoints were brought to the table with systematic changes to occur to address the various needs of these communities, I think we got a really great legislation that's making us a leader in the country right now. So when you want to do a dramatic shift, you have to do something that you haven't really done historically, which is actually sit people at the table, understand their value proposition. I really appreciated Sunny's summary of by saying, it is what have I historically done? What what do I need to do? Right. And that is really how everybody operates. It's what I know. It's what I have access to. And the moment we understand what he knows, what she knows, what she has access to, what he has access to, I can better understand how I can either align my needs, my understanding with theirs, and then come up with a collective solution. But we all do have to be willing to walk away with a fraction of what it is that we want. 100% is not possible with a diverse community of needs, desires, wants, and knowledge.
Let me come over to Geraldo.
Good afternoon, Gerardo Delgado, Nicor Gas. Just wanted to echo some of the sentiments that was shared in respect to, when I had the pleasure to be at the commission under the leadership of Sadzi, Oliva, and Sherina May Edwards, we did see the benefit of that coordination between private and government, right, and public. But now, and as my career evolved, I'm curious to learn about your perspective in which private can engage with public for, again, that coordination and planning that needs to happen holistically.
Oh, thank you for the question.
You're welcome.
You can't have him next. He's still ours.
Private has all of the goodies. You've got the technology, you have the experts, you have these brilliant brains, right? So, in my mind, what government should really leverage is all of your resources. How could we possibly tell you how to do XYZ when you get paid to create and make accessible XYZ? So that's why I'm really super excited that the programs I am responsible for administrating is the capital for people who develop things to innovate them. We provide the CEJA legislation did a brilliant thing by saying, hey, we need money for pre-development, for you to develop a project that then does what? Put the contractors and the workforce that we're investing in to work. Because what's the purpose of having the skills and the contractors if you don't have the funding to actually develop a program, so a project? So I really encourage the private sector to say, hey, government agency, governor, this is the project. These are the resources we need. So tell the who, what, when, where, and why. And then, when you find that gap, this is identified gap. Government, how can you fill that gap? And I think that that's what we're waiting on, because in reality, there's still a bureaucracy and we have to be held to be accountable for the resources we spend, but help us narrow the resources we spend so that we can be good stewards.
Or share the expertise, right? So, one of our goals at Nexus is to provide that expertise through education so that they can rely on us when they make these decisions, right? And so they have, again, all the information at the table when considering what the next step is. But ideally, to partner together and do it, because we do have a shared vision, we do have a shared goal, and that's the state of Illinois.
So I can share them with you, right? Okay.
Yeah. We'll accept that. We'll accept that.
We have a question here.
Okay, sorry, I'm gonna gush really fast. I was so excited that all of you are on a panel together. Ever since I joined Energy in 2015 as an intern, I have listened to each of you speak at different points in my career, and I like hold them like little nuggets of examples that I belong in this industry. And like Sadzi specifically, you were the first person I heard speak, and I was like, she's fabulous, and no one questions her expertise. So like, I just think you're all amazing. I know each of you have championed equity or various causes in your careers. Can you recall an example when you saw the switch flip for someone that you were trying to bring along who was really hesitant? Like, what caused that switch to flip and what changed afterwards?
Great question.
So actually, I just thought about this the other day. Sadzi, do you remember Vanessa Garcia from the commission? So I don't know, Jordan, you remember Vanessa? And so Vanessa was our, she worked with our media, right? She started working like we would have, we had like a, in-person meeting or whatever, she would kind of help with the making sure it was live streamed, the connections between the Chicago and the Springfield office and all of that. And she quickly she was fluent, obviously, in fluent in Spanish. So then she moved to the consumer services division because she could speak to, 50% of the people that called were were Latino and they needed they needed translation. So she switched to that. I remember one day we did not have a translator and we were having a public meeting and she came in and, she was doing her media thing and there was a woman she couldn't communicate with us or whatever. And so I said, okay, we're going to need you. And so she's like, what? And I was like, yeah, we're going to need you to translate like throughout this entire hearing. And so, she did it. She was so nervous, but she did it. She killed it. And I remember saying to her, and I don't know why, but all the commissioners were like along one wing, so to speak, and everybody else was in different places. And people were like afraid to ever come over to like, right, the chairman and commissioner, CNC, we called it chairman and commissioner's wing. And I asked her to come down to my office and she's literally like walking. It probably took her 15 minutes to get like 2 minutes of a steps. And she's like, am I in trouble? I was like, no. I said, I just wanted to talk to you about your future here. I was like, you are so bright. I said, you have so much potential. I was like, I would love to mentor you. And she's like, really? And I'm like, yes. I was like, I see your future so much bigger than this. I was like, you get it. I said, and you don't know everything, but you're eager to learn. And, and she said to me, I remember when I was leaving, I saw her kind of, I pushed her and I really I was a sponsor for her, as well as, others like Sadzi. And as I saw her continue to ascend, I remember thinking like, she's going to kill it. And actually the other day on my LinkedIn, I saw, so now she's working with the DNC and she's got this great role. She's literally like the right hand to who was the former executive director of the commission. It's crazy how the circle goes, circle of life. And now, who obviously saw that you couldn't work with Vanessa and not see that she was a rock star. and saw her in her elevator role there, and like snatched her up and was like, "You're coming with me to do this DNC thing." And I saw it on LinkedIn, and I just smiled. Like my face smiled, my heart smiled. I was truly just like, "You did it, girl. Like, go you." And so for me, like, what it's that type of trajectory that I'm like, that makes me feel really good because, to the point, and thank you very much for your kind words, but it's never about it's never about me. It is never about. And I was raised, and my parents said this to me, particularly my mother. I don't care how successful you are. I don't care how many titles you have. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care how many degrees you have. If you have not, right, gotten to the point where you are turning around and bringing not one, she was like, no, no, no. One is do one, whatever, but at least two people to make sure that they are not where you are, but that they are better. You are not successful in this house. And so it has always been about the pipeline for me. It has always been about turning around, sending the elevator back down. Yes, I'm at the penthouse. So what? But if I'm not sending the elevator back down to make sure that some other people are not just in the penthouse, but they are above me, right? Then I have not done my job. And so it's always been about that for me. And that makes me really happy.
Thank you.
I mean, I love these stories too. Gerardo will know who I'm talking about. I don't want to say her name because this is being filmed. I don't want to embarrass her. But she was one of our interns, Latina in law school. She came in and really bright, so smart, probably smarter than all of us on the team, from the legal side, and she was also an accountant, and she was studying tax law as well. So a great fit for what we were doing at the commission. When it came to looking at rate cases, but she needed a little bit of guidance on executive presence, something that not everybody has naturally. And so fast forward to today, having Gerardo, me, and Janelle, my other legal and policy advisor, as examples for her. She has her own law firm in Miami, Florida. So she's basically a CEO of her law firm. She has an incredible social media presence that is just so fun to watch for the area of law that she is practicing. And we keep in touch. We see each other once a year. So that's one of my favorite stories of just seeing someone evolve, and helping facilitate that through example, and we never called her out on anything, but just like guidance and just being a good example.
I'm going to give a quick other perspective of not just people, but a business. I would have to say the biggest thing about the economic development programs within CEJA, in my mind, is the ability to create and you develop versus being told what to build. Like instead of a contractor having to knock down the door to get an opportunity to build an energy efficient or renewable project, they now have the autonomy to develop it themselves, right? And that's where I just found joy in knowing when I was doing outreach, making sure that um, companies of color in the communities that the legislation really wanted to shift knew that they don't have to knock down the door anymore, that they could build the future that they want to see and be the financial change agent and economic driver, catalyst that they need, that they now have a tool to do it themselves, and then now to be on the end and received their grant application and they're knocking it out the park, with the score, and to be able to see their $1 million project or their 14, 20, $30 million project now have an investment from the state is what I hope to, over the 25 years of this legislation, be able to see an enormous amount of people building the future and being the catalyst to the change that they know that they need.
And I'll just add to that. I mean, I think we can just, I mean, collectively in this room, not take for granted the fact that we can see that change happen and be a part of that every single day. I mean, we hear the stories every day of, I was the first one to send my kids to college. I was the first generation to be able to own a home. I mean, these are these are changing lives for generations, and we're able to do it across our industry. So, I mean, I couldn't think of just one story, because you're interacting with those stories every single day, and every day by opening the door and bringing someone into the industry, we're empowering that flip of the switch, right, and that change.
All right, thank you. I think, Emma, we might want to go to closing remarks just for time. Okay, so we've got lunch. I think in that case, please join me in thanking our panelists and the moderator, Emma, for this incredible discussion. Very special.